18-time Grand Slam winner Chris Evert joins us here this morning on SportsCenter to put some context into what Serena has just done. She lost one set in this tournament. She lost one game in the semifinals. Chris, you have been part of some dominant performances. Can you put into context what she accomplished during this tournament this year?
Well, I think the last two matches are the two best matches I've ever seen a woman play on the clay courts. I mean, I was stunned when she beat Sarah Ronnie, who reached the finals here last year, 6-love, 6-1. And then today, let me tell you, Maria Sharapova played a great match, and she was at Serena's heels throughout the whole match. And Serena, you know, she had to play at another level. So I'm just astounded. I mean, we've always seen the power in her game and the athleticism, but now we're seeing focus and we're seeing consistency. And, you know, she's just the greatest player of all time in my eyes. I think she's more consistent. If you look at statistics, 10 years ago she'd make 50 winners and 50 errors. Nowadays she's making 50 winners and 15 errors. So she's much more patient out there, and I just think she's more focused. She senses her place in history. It's at the end of her career. She wants to just put 100% into every match she plays.
Does the number of Grand Slam titles matter for you to suggest whether she truly is the greatest player in women's tennis history? I mean, you and Martina both have more Grand Slam victories than her to this point, right, and the record, of course, is 24. Why, in your mind, is she the best player ever?
Well, I think athletically, she has no chinks in her armor. I mean, when you look at Martina and Steffi, you know, they had a weaker backhand. When you look at Serena, you know, she has the best serve in the game. She has the best return in the game. She moves better than anyone. I mean, there's just nothing. She has no weaknesses. But I also think that you're the best in your era. Like when Martina was playing and dominating, she was the greatest player we'd ever seen up until then. Now, Serena's the greatest player we've ever seen up until now. In 20 years, there might be somebody better. But up until now, she just has all the strengths and she has no weaknesses.
Of the modern era, really only Steffi Graf, you, and Martina Navratilova have more Grand Slam victories than Serena Williams, and she is going strong at number 16 today at the French Open. Chris Evert, thanks for joining us with your perspective.
Welcome back to Roland Garros. Maria Sharapova, the competition across the net, but her place in history, Serena Williams' target goal. With a second French Open title, she completes the career Grand Slam for a second time. In the past year, since losing in the first round here a year ago, she's added 3 more Grand Slam event titles, a #1 ranking again at age 31 years of age, 2 more gold medals. She now has 16 Grand Slam titles. Chris McKendry with Mary Jo Fernandez. What does another French Open title do for her legacy?
It's incredible. It puts Serena just in another class. I mean, she's already one of the greatest players to ever play the game. You still see Serena with the potential to win more majors, which is quite remarkable. She's at 16. She's going to be the favorite going into Wimbledon, perhaps the U.S. Open as well. If she can stay healthy, even though she's 31, she could get close to those numbers of Steffi Graf at 22. Who knows? But for her to conquer what used to be her worst surface 11 years after winning her first French Open title is remarkable.
And as she said, one French Open just felt so lonely when she has so many others. And if you look at Wimbledon, U.S. Open this year, then it's Australia, another hard court. Easily, Chrissy Evert, Martina Navratilova right there within reach.
Well, she's dedicated herself to be the very best, and I think for the first time she knows how good she is, and she is looking at history. She's looking at those players, and in her mind she's saying, I can reach that goal. And now she needs goals because she is at a class all by herself.
She is pushed by few competition around her. With Mary Jo Fernandez, I'm Chris McKendry. Serena Williams, champion in Paris as she looks ahead to Wimbledon, which begins June 24th.
This is all about Serena and how good she's become later in her career. You know, I said this a couple of years ago. I felt that Serena had the opportunity late in her career to do a little bit what Andre Agassi was able to do. Well, she's done that, and she's done a lot more. And she's got a chance to continue and really make a push to being certainly one of the greatest, if not the greatest, female player of all time.
All right, so for Serena, Patrick, a significant reversal from last year's French Open when she was bounced in the first round. She is now 74-3 since then. What role do you think that loss last year played in her run up until this title today?
Well, it's a great question because I think it's played a huge role. And I think so many times you see when players suffer a major disappointment that spurs them on. You know, I think back to when Pete Sampras lost to Stefan Edberg in the U.S. Open final. and he said, I'm never going to let opportunities like this slip away. And, you know, Serena, you know, really played well coming into last year's French Open, and she just got shocked. And I think that just made her more determined to get better, to keep working on her game, working on her fitness. She was already the best player in the world, but it's almost like she's competing with herself now, which is great to see. She's really pushing herself. I think she's more of a student of the game than she's ever been, and she's certainly just a humongous favorite going into Wimbledon in a couple of weeks and then into the summer and the U.S. Open. So I think that loss really spurred her on to keep doing more, and she's certainly reaping the benefits of that right now.
Well, Serena, like you, Patrick, a student of this game, Serena has now won every Grand Slam event twice. Where does this win and accomplishment now place her in history?
Well, it's moving her up big time. I mean, it's moving her into the stratosphere of Martina Navratilova, Steffi Graf, Chris Evert, et cetera. And obviously Serena's got a lot of tennis in front of her. To be able to win another French Open was huge. She's obviously won the other ones many times. She'll be a huge favorite again at Wimbledon. So, you know, she's moving up the pantheon. I mean, she's getting closer and closer to the top. And it's great to see because, I mean, even when she was really good early in her career, there was always sort of question marks about her dedication and how much she really loved the sport. And I think as she's gotten a bit older and a bit mature, I think she just appreciates what she's doing a lot more. And we as tennis fans are also reaping the benefits of that, watching one of the all-time greats really go out there and play her best tennis into her 30s, which is just remarkable.
Absolutely. That's ESPN tennis analyst Patrick McEnroe joining us here on SportsCenter as Serena Williams wins the French Open, defeating Maria Sharapova 6-4, 6-4. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks a lot. Take care.